What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cafecito and Kane show. We have a guest, as you can see. You might know this guy. Jazz Santana, thank you for joining us. As always, good friend of the show and, big supporter of your Six Ring Canes podcast. Listen to you guys after the morning after the Cal game. It was a great episode. So we'll dive a little bit more into that and all this other stuff. But first and foremost, how you doing?
Doing good, man. It's been a crazy week already, gearing up for this storm.
Yeah.
Down here, we're thankfully, thank God, we're going to be okay. But as I was mentioning off air, I got a lot of business up in Central Florida on the West Coast. So hopefully they're doing all right and they stay safe up there. So my brother lives up there too. So just keeping them in our prayers, and hopefully it dies down a little bit and the storm surge is not too bad. So wishful thinking, but stay tough up there, Central Florida.
Yeah, and hopefully whoever needs to evacuate, please do so. Find a way to get out. Or hopefully you already did. And you thought ahead and you were smart. But yes, Rocky, thank you. Prayers for everybody in Florida. Everyone stay safe. But in the meantime, while we're all hunkering down, just an hour ago, we got some good news on the recruiting front.
I was out for a walk with my dog and I missed it. So it always happens that way, right? Always happens that way.
Yeah. No, but I have the notifications for Dennis Smith on my phone. So anytime those bat signals drop, I'm ready, and we got a big one at a position of need. Joshua Moore we flipped them from Florida, which, we all kind of expected, especially after the dismantling up in Gainesville about 6 weeks ago. So we figured, okay, we're probably targeting a couple of their guys, Joshua Moore being right at the top of that list. 6'4", 205-pound playmaker, 4-star on the 247 composite. Talk to me. What do you think of the commit, and what do you think of him as a player?
Yeah, I mean, size, right? Size. He's an elite wide receiver. As you mentioned, a position of need, right? We talk about the guys that we have here now, and then you got Knight Carr and JoJo Trader right behind them. But Chance Robinson as well. I'm sure he's doing some developing. But after that, man, you've got to continue to build up the depth on that at that position. And I think this is a great way to get it going. I know we dropped Malachi to, well, whatever you want to say, but he's not in the class anymore. Malachi Tony. Still hanging on to Dalen Upshaw, if I'm not mistaken. So, good wide receiver out of Alabama. And I'm sure we might go after one or two more kids at that position. So, but I really like the pickup. I think it's huge. Obviously, it's great to flip him from Florida. He's a really good player, man. Florida had a good one there, and Miami was able to swoop in and get the flip. So that's a huge pickup for the Canes. I think that you develop him in the mold of an Isaiah Horton type of receiver, right? Isaiah Horton, 6'4", 215, more or less. He's got the size. He's got the opportunity to build into that mold and even bigger, right? He's already 6'4", 205. So put 15, 20 pounds on him, and then you're talking about a guy that might be unstoppable on the outside. So really excited about bringing in Josh Moore.
Yeah. We haven't had a ton of those, right? On the outside, those bigger 6'3", 6'4" guys. I mean, outside of like Andre Johnson, I'm trying to think. Like
maybe Lawrence Cager, right? I mean, but he turned out to be a tight end.
Lawrence Cager, I mean, he had issues with drops when he was here, and then went to Georgia and developed a little bit more. Leonard Hankerson was taller, but more of a speed guy. Tommy Streeter, that was one, but
he had a really good senior year. Yeah,
he had a great year. I don't know what the hell they were doing the first 3 years with him. I mean, he was so good. But aside from that, and it's starting to look more and more with each passing year like a Mario Cristobal team because of the size, and the speed and the athleticism. Like, he's trying to check all those boxes. He said immediately when I want us to be bigger, stronger, and faster than we are right now. But amazing pickup. Great for the class. Hated losing Malachi Tony. I'll be honest. I've seen Malachi Tony play many times. That kid's a stud. He's a dog. But I think it's very clear we want some bigger outside threats, whereas Malachi Tony might have been a slot guy.
Right.
So, but moving on from that, I know we talked a little bit in the DMs, what we're going to discuss today. And one of the things, it being a bye week, I want to talk about, obviously, the defense. You touched on it very thoroughly, actually, in your guys' show, the communication issues that they're having in the secondary. It's a problem because they're allowing a lot of big plays that they shouldn't be allowing, and it's putting us in a hole. We've dug ourselves out of every hole, but it's going to come a week where we're facing a team that's a little too good, and we're not going to be able to do that. So if you are Lance Guidry, it's the bye week. You got 2 weeks to prepare for Louisville. You got all these days to rest and heal up and everything. If you're Lance Guidry, what are you doing with your defense? Are you making any changes? Are you focusing on anything specific? What are you doing in this time off if you're him?
Guidry, I think that it's tough, man, because, well, first of all, you're recruiting more safeties.
Yes, that's number one.
Right? No, but in all honesty, I think that you have to kind of drive the point home. Like this, he's got to get serious about this. He's got to go to the guys that are playing right now, the Jaden Smiths, the Mish Powells, and Markeith and Zaquan and everybody, and say, if you guys are going to come out here and put together that type of showing again, miscommunications, try to play too much hero ball, try to make your plays without, and just kind of freelance out there, then I'm gonna sit your ass down and put somebody else in that's gonna do the job, right? I'm sure, I'll threaten him with, I'm sure Ike Taylor and I'm sure Dylan Day and Isaiah Thomas and all these guys are chomping at the bit to get out here and play some football. So if you guys are not going to, play your assignment and you are going to freelance too much out here and try to make every single play like you're Superman and not trust in your teammates, then I'm going to find someone who will. Because at the end of the day, a lot of that defense is predicated on that, right? On your gap assignment, on your communication, not trying to freelance too much. You're going to get every once in a while a guy that's unbelievable that can do some of that stuff and get away with it. But our defense is not good enough in the sense that you don't have that one guy in the secondary. I'm not talking about the front four. You don't have that one guy in the secondary that's like Cam Kitchens or Tyrann Mathieu. I'm just throwing out crazy names or Ed Reed. You don't have that guy. You have to play cohesive as a unit on this defense in order for it to be successful. And if you're not doing that, then this is what's going to happen, right? They're going to dice you up a little bit. Even the teams that aren't supposed to be dicing you up, like Cal, right? Those are the longest plays of the season for them. And you got to start looking at some of the other guys. I know Rocky just mentioned Robert Stafford, and some of the other guys that are here that might be ready to go, and take a look at some other guys that might want to kind of step in and be hungry to play assignment football, play team football. And if you can't do that, this is going to continue to happen. And John, as you mentioned, man, there's only so many times you can come back. And there's only so many times that you can do what we've done the last couple of weeks. So they're going to have to tighten that up a little bit and get it together. If not, you're probably going to see some changes on defense, I would think.
Yeah. And what about the scheme itself? I feel like, just to put it simply, I feel like we should just be running more zone, if anything. I feel like we get caught being too aggressive sometimes. We get caught in man-to-man and, guys are trying to switch off. Guys are trying to, someone's in motion and they're trying to follow them and they're always behind. It's like, I feel like just switching to more zone would be a simple change. Maybe you're seeing something I'm not seeing.
No, you know what? I kind of agree with you, because that might fix a little bit of those communication issues, right? Like how hard is it to stay where you are? Don't move, don't follow anybody. Stay in your zone. Anybody comes to you, any tight ends shoot your way, any running backs, come out of the backfield your way. If you're an edge guy, if you're a boundary guy, that's who you pick up, right? If a guy runs a 9 route, you might want to check him a little bit and then let him go, and it's safety. Like, that's pretty simple. Maybe they have to start doing that. If they do that, of course, you got to make sure that you're getting pressure on the quarterback too, though. So it goes hand in hand, right? So up front, you got to make more plays. I know Barrow started making some plays at the end of the game. You saw Ruben Bain kind of, get some pressure also, and some of the other guys. But you got to play assignment football. You got to make sure that you're communicating, whether it's zone or man, and it might help a little bit, but at the end of the day, they still have to stay, stay in their lane per se. You know what I mean? They've got to communicate better, and they've got to be able to make the plays.
Yeah, because I feel like, yeah, I mean, Willie said it best. The zone will eliminate the eye candy stuff. I feel like all the window dressing is throwing them off, and it would simplify things.
Yeah,
and also, 3 teams in a row now have followed the South Florida playbook that they found a chink in the arm or something that worked, and it's almost like Guidry just wants to go back to what he does instead of preparing for that, like being one step ahead, getting out in front of it.
right.
I don't know. That part's driving me nuts. To his credit, they are adjusting to it. I think the defense only allowed 10 points in the second half. So they adjusted to
the pick six is not obviously on that. So,
right. So they adjusted to it to a degree. They started making stops. They made a stop to start the second half, which was big, but then we threw the pick 6. So it's so to his credit and to all the coaches' credit, they are making adjustments. It's just, how about you don't allow 4 touchdowns in the first half,
right?
On just completely blown assignments. I mean, that's just high school stuff.
Yeah, I think for the people that are thinking that that Diana Hill's getting beat on that play or getting, it wasn't the case. If you look back at it, right in the middle of the wide receiver running the route, you saw Jaden Harris's play. He comes up,
hey, go cover.
And then all of a sudden he points back. It's like, hey, my brother, it's a little too late at that point. You know what I mean? So you got to figure it out, and that happened multiple times. So yeah, they got to figure that out for sure.
For sure, man. But as far as the defense goes, I'm a little surprised that Zaquan Patterson hasn't gotten in there and gotten more reps, to be honest with you, because he came into the Vatech game for a little bit and looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and aside from him, I mean, you could talk offense as well. Is there any backup now halfway through the season? Is any backup that you think, or a young guy that maybe should start getting a little bit more burn? Because maybe the guy in front of him isn't, playing up to par, or, you were just hoping to see some more of the young guys at this point.
Yeah, look, on defense, I'll say I think Zaquan is one that I think needs to come out and play a little bit more. I mean, I wish we had Damari Brown back, so it looks like we're not going to have him back for a little bit. So, but the truth is, I don't think the corners are playing that bad, right? I think that Porter has a tough assignment every night, right? He's typically covering their most popular receiver, the guy that's going to get the ball most. Sometimes that slot guy. Those boundary guys. I mean, OJ's having an amazing year, right? So he's already a young guy that's playing every game. So he's starting at essentially. So yeah, Zaquan, maybe Bobby Pruitt a little bit, right? You see his energy, you see him flying around. He's young, so he might still make some plays. Some mistakes, but he's talented, man. And he's going out there and he's playing hard. So maybe that's another guy that you might want to see a little more of. And the front four is tough, man, because you've got so much talent there. They're rotating a lot of guys already. I don't think Lightfoot is ready to play that much yet. Ryan Mack is solid as well, but McConaughey is actually playing. He's getting some playing time already.
Mm-hmm.
So but you can still tell that he gets he gets up. What's the word I'm looking for? Not outmanned, but he gets swallowed up.
Physical, maybe.
Right, he gets out physical a little bit still, and I just think that's a lack of different type of moves. Right, he's quick and all that, and he's a tough kid, but it's tough to play at this level already as an edge guy. So in the front four, I just think they need to get more penetration. They need to mix it up a little bit more. I think they're fine there with how many guys are playing. But for me, it's more about the Zaquan and maybe a Bobby Pruitt kind of guy. On offense, it's maybe JoJo Trader as a wide receiver, maybe Nikar, some of those guys, Ray. Although it's hard to put in Ray when you've got X doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's freaking Superman. So it's tough. It's tough for him to get any usage there. But yeah, Jordan Lyle, is to me, and I've said it. I don't know if you watch the show, but I've said it like in 2 or 3 shows. I think Jordan Love is going to end up being the best back out of everybody that's here on this team right now. That's how much I like him. I think he's going to be really special. I think he's going to be one of those guys that when it's all said and done, he's going to be a great Miami Hurricane. So I love Jordan Love. I love what he does. His explosiveness. He's already tough. He's already big and strong. So I think he's got it all. So yeah, I'd love to see a little bit more of him. It's tough. JoJo Trader, they put him in a bad spot when he came in, right? Cam Moore made a bad throw, and then we didn't see much more of him. So, but I will say the number one guy that I want to see on offense more than anybody else is Elijah Lofton. Oh, look, this Tap mentioned it. Elijah Lofton, the kid's unreal, man. Made that 24-yard catch and got destroyed. Almost broke his hip on that play. Still held on to the ball. So Elijah Lofton is my guy. I love that guy.
That dude's a problem.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, not only will be for the next 2 to 3 years at least, but he is. He could be one right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see him. Zaquan, Robert Stafford, just anybody in that secondary that you could at least threaten the current guys. Hey, if you don't do your job, you're losing some reps. We got a little more depth now. We got more numbers, so might as well use it.
For sure.
KC Kane fan says pass rush is not the problem. I agree with KC Kane fan because like a lot of people are saying, hey, we're not getting to the quarterback enough. It's like the first half they're getting the ball out in less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, they're scheming to get the ball out quick. Yeah, for sure.
That's not. It wasn't until late in the game where they had to go into drop back mode, and this is where it goes hand in hand with the offense. If Cam doesn't, try to force it the first half, maybe take the dink and dunk, take the outlet, take what they give you. Because we have playmakers that'll make guys miss. March down the field that way. Maybe in that situation, you're already up 14. Okay. Second half, they got to go into drop back mode. And guess what? Our DNs can now come after you.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah. So, no, I agree with you, Casey. Pass rush is not the problem at all. We've got NFL guys across that line of scrimmage. And I think this week off will help guys like Marley Cook get a little healthier. All the guys, almost everyone's a little beat up right now.
Yeah.
And letting them get a little fresher.
Came at the right time this bye, right?
It came at a perfect time, dude.
Really
perfect time. Because like I'm looking, especially in the trenches, one injury nobody's really talking about is Ryan Rodriguez. Because he started in the Florida game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget. And he hasn't come back, I think, since that game.
Right.
He offers
Jalen Rivers.
Yeah. Neither is Jalen Rivers. Oh, I mean, what? I know we don't usually speculate on injuries, but he's a big one. What do you with the cryptic things that you've heard so far? Do you think he plays in the Louisville game?
Listen, I'll believe it when I see it, man. I'll believe it when I see it. At this point, even with Bain, when everybody said Bain was going to play this game, I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not going to go into it because it drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I again, Vish will tell you it drives me nuts. I tell him all the time. I complain about this all the time. I'm like, why can't you just tell us if they're going to play or not? Who gives a shit? Like, excuse my language, sorry. Who cares? He's either going to play or not. Like, for guys like me and you, like, we want to talk to the fans. We want to tell them, hey, this guy's not going to play. This guy's not going to play. So it's Markel Bell. It's Pancake. It's whoever it's going to be. It kind of sucks. We're not out there trying to scheme against Matthew McCoy or Markel Bell. Like, who cares, man? Just say it. Why do we do this whole dog and pony show? I'm not going to tell you anything. It sucks. It drives me nuts. It does.
Yeah, because like the fact that Jalen is not playing is the advantage for the other team. Like
sure.
that already is an advantage for you guys. So telling you he's not going to play, it's like, okay, great. We already kind of knew that. We were, that's an advantage for us, the opposition.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it under wraps that he is going to play, if it's the other way around, that I understand.
Got it. Right. But don't say, he's going to dress or he's going to play or, just, you know what? I'll believe it when I see it at this point. I'm tired of it. It's annoying. It's obnoxious.
It is really annoying. And they've been saying he's day to day or whatever they want it for like 3 games now. It's
kind of like what they did with Mesidor last year, right?
Yes,
You know,
yes.
it's the same thing.
And he never played.
Never.
No, and I hope this isn't the case. I don't think it is. I think Jalen will, if doesn't play Louisville, he'll play very soon. It reminds me a lot of the Amon Richards thing that he was week to week for like a year and a half. And it's like, oh no, he retired from football. What? What are you talking about?
It's unbelievable, man.
I know
Unbelievable.
that shit drives me nuts. I agree with you. But yeah, we went over the freshmen that should get more playing time. Hold on, let me get back to my messages here. And yeah, so we got Louisville next week. Again, I hope we get a little healthier. Maybe some of these guys and the guys that are beat up on D get right and get a little healed up. I think that's going to help a lot with their play. But Louisville coming up, they have, in my opinion, the best head coach in the ACC as far as scheming and X's and O's and all that and game preparation. He schemed up really well against us last year. Their defense is another story. I think we could score on them. If we just take care of the football, we'll score a lot of points on them. But yeah, Jeff Brom, he makes me nervous. I'm not going to lie. And last year he didn't really have the talent that he has this year. You know what I mean? He has a few more playmakers, more pieces. What are your early thoughts on them? I don't know if you've watched any tape, any highlights on them or anything, but what sticks out to you from what you've seen so far with Louisville?
Well, first of all, John, we can score on anybody. We can score on anybody in the country.
I think we've proven that, yeah.
I think we've played the top two defenses we're probably going to play this year in BTEC and Cal. Every game's going to be tough from here on out. I get it. They've got a really good quarterback. The guy he's the Cam McCormick of Louisville, right? He's been around he was Justin Herbert's backup. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the guy's been around for quite some time, right? He is, he's got a good arm. He's got good pocket presence. He can run a little bit, but that's not his game. His game is to drop back and kind of let it rip. So they've got obviously Ja'Cory Brooks there and Isaac Brown and Don Chaney and some other guys, some other really good weapons also. So I think it's going to be. Look, if they don't play this, if they don't scheme like the other teams did, then I think Miami does okay. But if they kind of follow the same blueprint, then Guidry's gonna have to, he's gonna have to put it together and really execute. This defense is really gonna have to execute. It's a tough offense to play, but I think that we've got the players to counter that. I don't know. I don't know if this is a better offense. Is it a better offense than last year's Louisville team? I mean, it's tough.
I think they have more talent. They have better players, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've struggled a little bit against SMU and Notre Dame and some of these teams, and I mean, obviously SMU's offense is legit, but even they've even struggled a little bit against those teams, and I think that our defense is better than those teams. Then again, I said that last week, and I said that the week before also, and they carved us up a little bit, specifically in the first half. So I still think that Miami's the way more talented team all around, but they've got some weapons on offense. So it's gonna be tough because it's not only about those weapons; it's about the way, like you said, that Coach Brom likes to put them in positions to be successful. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be fun to watch.
It'll be fun to watch, and I think especially against them, switching to more of a zone would help a lot because anytime our linebacker had to follow a tight end across the middle, like they got lost. Yeah.
Talk about eye candy. That's Brahms. I mean, he's gonna throw everything at you, and he's gonna confuse the hell out of you. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Marine E says, "Why y'all scared Louisville? Y'all act like that coach is the best thing since sliced bread." Have you watched them? Like Jeff Brom's a damn good coach and a damn good play caller.
Yeah,
he absolutely is a problem. Look, he made it to the ACC championship game last year for a reason, and again, did it with not the greatest talent. Yeah, it's they're one of the tougher games on our schedule, in my opinion. That's why I'm thinking,
yeah,
could
we
go?
Loss I had. This is the only loss I had for Miami this year. So I'm kind of hoping that they prove me wrong.
My 10-2 prediction right before the season started. One of the two losses is this game. You know, now it being at noon, I don't know why. I feel like in some weird way that helps us.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have that night game atmosphere where, you know, weird things can happen. And yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm good with that noon kickoff, but I mean, it's not exactly like the toughest place to play in the world either.
Right.
But no, Marine, look, legitimately, like he's one of the best schemers in the game, especially offensively.
Yeah.
But like I said, we could absolutely carve up their defense without like forcing it. Just, take the boring play, like take your time, be patient. If they do that, they'll score 40 plus on them. So could we beat them? Yeah. Could we go out there and kick their ass? Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if they like wake up and show up for this game. Wouldn't shock me one bit. I'm just saying they're one of the tougher teams left on the schedule and they make me nervous.
I mean, their top player on defense, I think, decided a red shirt, right? He decided their safety. They got a really good safety. They decided a red shirt and enter the transfer portal. So, yeah, now they got a new guy back there that's going to have to deal with Cam Ward. So,
right, exactly. But as far like while we're on that topic, the teams left on the schedule. So, if I can remember off the top of my head, it's Louisville, FSU, Duke, then G Tech, then Wake Forest, and Syracuse.
Yep.
Are we better than all those teams roster wise? 100% yes.
Yeah.
Like I think that's without question. But roster isn't the only thing. Yes, that's absolutely. I was just going to get to that. There are a couple of tricky games. I think that's a good word. There are a couple of tricky games that if you're not careful, you can trip up on them. To me, the three are Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse. FSU, Duke. Well, actually, you know what? Even Duke can be a little tricky. I think we should dominate that game, but Manny Diaz, we know how disruptive he can be with his defense. And if we don't if we have like communication issues there, that could be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
So I am wary of that, and we got to be prepared and do our job. But yeah, there's like 3 or 4 in there that are like, okay, they're not the easiest to get past. But what do you think? Does any other game stand out of the ones that are left?
The ones that stand out to me are Louisville and Syracuse, really, more than anything else. I think Syracuse, they've got a good quarterback. They've got good weapons on offense. They're coached well. Fran Brown is a hell of a coach, right? They did drop one to a mediocre Stanford team earlier, a couple weeks ago. So, they're not necessarily a great football team. But, again, you're talking about, a really good quarterback. Everybody knows what the formula is to get to our defense a little bit. So our defense is going to have to adjust, bottom line. But I think that those are the 2 games. I think Georgia Tech, I think at this point, like, because of what happened last year, I just don't see them keeping it close against Georgia Tech. I think they're going to boom them. I think they're going to destroy them. I think it's kind of like a revenge for a terrible call type thing, and I think they're just going to go after them and destroy them. So
I hope so. I hope they still remember what happened last year, and
they better.
I hope if they have any pride whatsoever, I hope they go out there and stomp them.
Oh man, I hope they beat them by like 40, and Mario does not need kneel at all.
That's exactly what I hope, actually. I hope they blow them out, and just to like stick it to them. It's like, no, I'm not going to take a knee. I'm running it right down your throat.
Absolutely.
Which is funny thing. That's what they did last year. They ran it down their throat, got the first down. Game should have been over, but they called a fumble that wasn't a fumble. So,
right.
We all would have been okay with not taking a knee if the ref made the right call.
Right.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020 for sure on that one.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's touch on that a little bit. The targeting call and us. Well, first of all, apparently the ACC loves Miami. I don't know. I didn't get that memo. Wow. I'm sure you didn't either. The ACC's, Miami paid off the refs, and the ACC loves us. We're the ACC darlings. Yeah. They cost us. Yeah. They cost us 2 safeties last year and an entire game last year. So we didn't get the memo. But, the VT catch at the end of the game, that was not a catch. 1000% was not a catch. I don't know what we're even arguing about at this point.
Correct.
So take that off the board. Then you look at the Cal game. There were calls against us and calls that should have got the first down that Cal got. I don't know if I saw this days later. Amon Richards actually posted it on Twitter that their wide receiver was 10 yards down the field blocking one of our corners when the guy ran that little out route on like 3rd and 12 and got the first down.
I don't remember it, but
go back and watch. Yeah. Just like a blocking sled just hitting our corner down the field, and it's like, that's the definition of pass interference, dude. And then they called the offensive PI on Sam Brown. Didn't even touch him. I don't know where you saw that.
Yeah, that was on the touchdown, the Zay Horton
on what should have been a touchdown that we had to score on the next play.
That was ridiculous. Yeah.
That was awful. They were, trying to keep us out of the end zone, but it didn't work. The Jacoby George, after the whistle on sportsmanlike, whatever, it was nothing. It was guys getting chippy with each other.
You hear the announcer say, "Oh, he must have said something." So what? They say stuff to each other all the time. You're gonna give the guy a flag for telling him that his mama's fat or whatever? Like, come on.
Brock Osweiler should know firsthand. He's a player. What they say on that field.
By the way, he's terrible. But anyways, yeah.
He can't be worse than Louis Riddick. He's awful too.
You don't like See, I like Louis Riddick. I'm on the opposite side of that. I like him.
He made a couple of good calls. He said a couple things that were funny, but then he kept saying how good USF's secondary was. And I'm like, their secondary is awful. What are you talking about? I don't know. He said some things that were just like factually incorrect. I'm like, bro,
not evaluating talent anymore, right?
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. I don't know. There's not a lot of great analysts anymore. I feel like there's more bad ones than good ones. I feel like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, my point is there were a lot of calls that went against us throughout the course of that game.
Stepped out of bounds. You're right. Workforce says that.
He stepped out of bounds. But then everybody's focusing on what they thought should have been a targeting call. Now, full disclosure, when they showed the replay, I'm like, ooh, I think that's targeting. I think they got us on that one. But then the more I think about it, the more I hear other people talk about it, it's like, well, isn't it being a defenseless player part of the criteria?
So the way I understand it is, yes, he's not a defensive player anymore because he's now acting as a runner, right? So he's not a defensive player. However, if you lead with the crown, you lead with the crown. And so that's what was tricky because it looked almost like he led, but then you see him throw his shoulder. So it's like, that's how, if you're a good football player and you're taught correctly, that is a textbook tackle, what Wesley Basink did. That is like, I used to have a really good friend that he played college football, lower level college football, but he was a wide receiver in high school and then played quarterback he was a quarterback in high school and he played wide receiver in college. And he tells me, he used to always show me how to tackle. He would always show me, like, it's always here, right? With the helmet. And then the shoulders come into play. And so when you see Basink do this, and he's kind of leading, but then he turns his shoulder, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's targeting, man. Like, if you're leading full with the crown and you're what's the word that
launching like a torpedo?
Yeah, and he didn't do that. He didn't launch. You could see him open up to drop his shoulder and to tackle the guy. So I don't think it was a targeting at all.
I agree.
It's close, but I don't think it was.
It was very close. I got nervous. And then when Osweiler was like, oh yeah, there was a launch and everything, I'm like, there was no launch. That's a stretch. Right. Definitely. And I thought the shoulder made contact first before the helmet did. It was very bang, bang.
Yeah.
And then they made a good comment right after the play stood. They were like, listen, if you got to look at it with a magnifying glass to figure out what it was, then probably it should stand.
Right.
Which I agree with. It was it was questionable enough that I was like, all right, let's go. And look, even if we did get away with one, they owe us from so many years of screwing us. Like, I'm sorry. And Cal also, you blew a 25-point lead at home in one quarter. Like, exactly. I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah. That's not the reason why they blew a 25-point lead. So
no, at all. Not at all. Mo with the donation. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Hope you are safe, by the way. I don't know exactly where he lives. I think he's a little bit more north of Miami. But yeah, we got a call and now the refs love us. What a joke. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny when Miami's involved in anything, any kind of controversy, then the way that we shift narratives in the media is hilarious. Like the shit they make up is
unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's hilarious. Like, you remember when the Duke lateral game happened back in 2015? The amount of people saying that we should give the win back. I'm like, I've never heard that in my life as a sports fan. It's like people saying that we should forfeit the win.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I know exactly where I was. That was Halloween night, right? I think.
Yeah, it was Halloween night. I remember that. It was on Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll forfeit the win as soon as Ohio State gives us back the trophy.
Right. Yeah.
Then we'll talk. Yeah, Ott stepped out and they never called it. Yeah, the Ott one, it's weird because I tried watching it in real time and I saw the replay of it, but they didn't show a slow motion replay. So the replay, it was hard to tell if he really did. They should have at least reviewed it because it was very close. Yeah, it was close, but I don't think it was targeting because Mendoza was not defenseless. Yeah, we talked about that. That was the other thing. Okay, thank you, Casey. I've forgotten about that. He also, this is my opinion, I don't think a play should be called targeting when you as a ball carrier are also dropping yourself down.
Right. Yeah.
If your head level drops to absorb the hit, I'm sorry, then that negates the targeting because you moved the target.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Dude was talking smack being asked. Oh, yeah, that linebacker. I will give that kid credit. I think he was number 0. That linebacker.
Yeah.
Uluwabe. I'll give him credit. Look, he played his ass off. He played a really good game. He was giving us fits. Good linebacker. I like him as a player. He was talking a lot of smack.
A smirk on his face the whole night. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that smirk disappeared very quickly. Yeah, there was some taunts and stuff they could have gotten called for, but look, as Miami fans, you should be used to this by now. They're never going to call it on them.
Right.
When have you seen a taunting flag? Think about this. A taunting flag on our opponent when they're standing over us when we're on the ground, which I remember Devontae Parker.
He grabbed the towel through it. And
yeah, like there's been so many little things that I've noticed throughout games over the years that not a single one has been called. Not a single one. So I'm used to it.
I hate the taunting call anyways, right? I hate the taunting penalty.
It shouldn't be a penalty.
It shouldn't be a penalty. Let them talk trash to each other. And
dude, that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, man. It drives me crazy. And yes, I would take him in the transfer portal too. Everybody is saying it. Damn right. Especially that we're losing Kiko next year.
Oh, I'd say I like how he plays. I'd take him.
Good ball player. Good ball player.
Good ball player. No, and that safety Woodson that made that stop on Elijah Arroyo. He made a couple stops like that. Like that kid's a player.
Yeah, someone asked me about that play if I like the play call. I said, yeah, it's the right play call. The guy made a hell of a tackle. 9 times out of 10, Arroyo's probably going through that tackle or getting yards after the catch. It's a hell of a tackle. What else are you gonna do, man? Tip your hat and keep going. That's all you can do.
That's what I thought. I liked the play call. He made a great play. He broke on the ball immediately, made a perfect tackle. Like you said, 8, 9 times out of 10, Arroyo's keeping his balance for that 1 extra yard and getting the first down.
Right.
It was he hit him at the exact right spot. I mean, you couldn't have drawn it up better for him. And also Cam could have zipped it to him a little quicker.
Sure.
There's a couple things at play there. I was fine with the play call. Let me ask you this. How would you grade so far Shannon Dawson this year?
I love it. I think people are watching the wrong game if they're saying that our offensive play calling is bad. I get it. I've heard, obviously I've seen the shows a little bit, your show, Flo's show, and talk about how the running game is a little vanilla. It's not very, there isn't a lot of different stuff in that running game. However, it's fine. Like he did kind of mix it up a little bit in the running game this game, right? You saw that it was working. When they got behind 25 points, you got to turn to throwing the football. It is what it is, right? But I mean, the first half they ran for like 80 yards, right? Like they were moving the ball on the ground.
Hmm.
Damian Martinez was getting some chunk plays. He was running some people over. Then you had Mark Fletcher doing the same thing. I mean, you saw that they were getting it going. Um, but I mean, Dawson is getting guys open on every single play that he's calling. You know, if anything, you might want to bitch at Cam Ward a little bit because he's holding on to the ball sometimes too long. He's trying to do too much, right? Obviously, maybe we'll get into that now, but he's trying to do too much with the ball. But that's his game. I get it, but he's got to clean some stuff up. If guys are open, trust those guys and get them the ball, right? Bottom line. So I know he's trying to make the big play, the hero ball play, but I love what Dawson is doing, man. I think that his play calling has been great. I think for the most part, we've executed on his play calling. I think that he understands what Cam Ward's game is, and so there's different elements of his play calls that are probably built into his style of play as well. And I just think that they're doing a great job of executing on offense. I mean, it's an A for me, right? Like I think he's doing a great job, honestly.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. I think his play calling has been fantastic. And there's no such thing as like calling a perfect game because other things factor into it, execution and all that. But I think he's hitting the right buttons at the right time.
Yeah,
is my point. Yes, there are plays where Cam has guys wide open, and he's I guess trying to make the bigger play. You got to take those plays, whether it's a check down or that intermediate route. Just take it. Keep the ball moving.
the checkdowns are there, right?
Yeah.
It's not a matter of why are we doing check? No, we had those check. I mean, you saw it on that big play to Damian Martinez on that third down, right? 3rd and 20, and he got 23 yards, right? Like he checked down, and Martinez did the rest. Yeah, I saw that, and that's some sad stuff, man. But
Yep.
that is what it is. No, I like what they're doing. I like the only thing that's obvious to me is obviously when Chris Johnson gets in the game, you know that they're going to try to go to him.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It would have worked if it would have been executed right, and that's the crazy thing. Like sometimes you know what's going to happen, and they're still going to execute it for the most part, right? But I think maybe if you're going to do that, maybe get Chris Johnson in the game a little bit more, hand him the ball off, just have him as a decoy a little bit more. He's electric, but my problem with him is that he doesn't break tackles very well, and he doesn't for how fast he is. He doesn't make people miss, right? Like he can't like make people juke and miss. Like X makes people miss, right? He's not as fast. Imagine X with Chris Johnson's speed. Nobody better than him in the country. I mean, as it is, he'd
be winning the Heisman if that were the case.
Okay, all right. Let's just call it what it is. But Chris Johnson is who he is. Get him the ball in space, and if he makes one guy miss, it's over, right? That's it. Nobody's gonna catch him. So it is what it is.
Hey, let's Flo.
Speaking of Flo, there he is.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. He tried to put that spin move on that one guy and like ran right into him. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Just run around him.
Straight out of Madden or straight out of NCAA there.
Yeah, he had the edge on him too. I don't know why he stopped.
No.
Yeah.
Wiggle. That's the word, KC fan. Yeah, wiggle. He doesn't have that much wiggle. It's true.
Doesn't have wiggle, but I'm with you. He should be in the game more, 100%. He should be getting like 3 to 5 touches instead of just the one, and he should be out there as a decoy as well. Don't give him the ball every time, obviously.
Right.
Don't tip your hand. I'm sure coaches have picked up on that. So start putting him out there now and don't give him the ball, So the safeties all of a sudden like, oh, crap, I got to pay attention to him. He's on the field.
Absolutely. I agree.
Have we talked about Guidry? Yes. Yeah, we talked about Guidry early on. That was like the first 10 minutes of the show about the defense. But yeah, we'll do one more quick topic and then I'll get you out of here. But yeah, so we talked about both coordinators. Might as well talk about the head guy now, since we're talking X's and O's and, all that stuff, game management. I want to touch really quick on the game management and timeout usage of Mario Cristobal. I think this year it has been much better.
Yeah.
I like the way he's used certain timeouts instead of just leaving them on the board and, not using, like, for example, I heard you and Vish talking about it on your show, I think, that I thought the same thing initially, that he should have called that first timeout, not let it go down to the 2-minute warning. So like, there's workforce freebies talking about it. Yeah, I thought he should have. That way you have like 2:40 left instead of 2 minutes. That's what I would have done. I think the thought process there, whether you agree with it or not, is you save those 3 to kind of give you one last life, so to speak. If it gets down to 2 minutes, you're like, okay, if they get a first down here, I still have my 3. I can still burn all 3 of them and stop them one more time and get the ball back. I still have a chance. So I get the sentiment behind it. And they're thinking, okay, Cam's got the ball with a minute to go. We can score.
Right.
But you're doing it without timeouts left, if that's the case. So I would have called it, but you know what? It ended up working out because you have your timeouts. It's 150 left, right? We marched down the field. We got a big play with X. And then we had the penalty on the goal line. So It is good to have the extra timeouts in case that, I don't want to say the word. In case the refs start, pulling some BS and some of that happens. And then we got knocked back 15 yards, which is what happened.
Right.
You had the unsportsmanlike penalty, which actually it was well deserved because it was Isaiah kicked the dude. I just remember that's what the penalty was. Yeah. So that happened. So we had to burn one there to like, okay, let's regroup. Let's try something else. And then we score. And then on defense, he still had one left to use. And he used it to like on 4th down to like calm down the defense, which I think that's huge. He used it against VTech that on the 4th down play. You have that one last time out on a prevent, like a Hail Mary situation, call it. Sure. Talk to your defense, calm them down a little bit. Make sure they're standing in the right spot. It wasn't what I would have called, but my point is like it ended up working out. So there was a method to the madness. And also the going for 2 at the right time and we got it. We got to give him credit where he makes the right calls. So sorry, I rambled on for a while, but like what have you noticed the same things from his timeout usage and his game management?
First of all, I'll say thank God that college football has that 2-minute warning now. That's probably why he didn't call it, right? Like, I think that first of all, you got to give a raise to the time management coach that he brought in this year, because we all know he says it, right. We brought someone in to help him with that, and it's paying off. Like he's doing a way better job this year of managing the clock, managing his timeouts, making sure that we're in the right play call. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into. You saw, I don't know if you noticed this, but I did notice on one of the plays. I can't remember what down it was, but there was a timeout called, or there was something in between plays, and Dawson was out on the field talking to his coaches, but talking to his players. But Mario was out there discussing something with him again, talking to him about something. I don't know exactly what it was, but like you can see that his communication, it wasn't like, I don't think it was like run the damn, like how we all used to say. He used to go up to Dawson or Gaddis or whatever and be like, run the damn football. I don't care what you do, but run it. No, I felt like it was more of a, let's have this talk. Let's see what you're going to do. I want to kind of, have an idea. I don't know, maybe give my 2 cents, but at the end of it was one of those things where you kind of felt comfortable. Like how, I don't know if you felt this, but in previous years, previous teams, I'd be like, dude, score already, man. Like score. I know there's a minute and a half left. Just get in the end zone. And me, I'm like at the 25-yard line now after the big play by X, and I'm like, run the clock down.
Yeah.
We're going to score eventually. It doesn't matter. I'm good. I'm Gucci about it. Like, we know we're going to score. Take your time. Run the clock down. And it feels good to feel that way about this team now, knowing that, you have that confidence that they're going to go down there, going to score a touchdown when they need to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that it's not only his time management, it's his confidence in his players also, man. That's playing a huge role in it. I'm sure he didn't have that confidence in his, last 2 or 3 years before this, in making sure that he can take more risks or be more calculated with how he called his timeouts. Plus, he's got someone that's helping him out with it now. So it's a big change. He's grown up, man. He's grown up before our very eyes.
You got to give him credit. Anything we've criticized him for, anything he's had to like anything he's had to adjust. It's almost like he's hearing us along the way,
Right.
you know, because like notice 5 seconds left, he took a knee.
Yeah, he did.
He took the knee.
Yeah, he did.
You know, we didn't bring in a good crop of wide receivers that first class that he had. Next year, he gets Nycar, Chance Robinson, JoJo Trader. You know, he has to address the D line. You know, he does exactly what he says he's going to do. He brings in the greatest D line class we've ever brought in. We had to evolve our offense. He goes and hires Shannon Dawson. It's like every criticism we've had, he's answered it in some way. Quarterback killer. No, he's not.
Not anymore. No, definitely not. That goes out the window now. I think he's doing a good job there. Chances are next year, I think he's going to bring in another stud, unless Emery. I mean, I love Emery. I love his play, but he's probably going to bring in another stud again. So
probably, yeah. I hope Emery keeps developing. I think they're doing a good job developing him so far.
I like it. I think we can win with him. Honestly,
I think so too. Because we'll be a little bit more loaded and deeper next year. We'll add a few portal guys. We don't have to add a ton, but a few more portal guys. And yeah, it depends on. It's going to be every offseason is going to be like the QB sweepstakes. You know, in January, it's going to be like guys are going to hit the portal just like this past January. Certain guys are going to hit the portal. It's going to be like, but it's going to be more like we have our pick. You know what I'm saying?
I think what's going to happen is, look, he comes from Nick Saban tree, right? You notice Nick Saban's teams, for the most part, when they won those national titles, they haven't had Heisman quarterbacks, right? Like maybe Mac Jones had that really good year, right? Jalen Hurts was not bad, and Tua, those guys were really good. But you look at some of the others, the AJ McCarrons, the McElroy. There was another one in there somewhere. I can't remember. But you look at those guys, right? And you're like, yeah, they were good. What they did was they didn't turn the ball over. They didn't put your team in a position to fail, to lose, right? They managed the game. They made the right throws. They made the clutch throws when they needed to. But they had Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper and Eddie Lacy and Mark Ingram, and the list goes on and on and on and on, right? They had that, and they had really dominant defenses, and they had the biggest offensive line you could possibly want. That's what Mario is doing here. Bryce Young, there you go, Bryce Young. Yes. He had all that. So now you bring in a guy like Emery, who is probably not going to throw for 2,200 yards the first 6 games of the season. But he's going to be able to move the ball down the field. He's going to make good throws. He's going to command that offense. He's not going to make a lot of turnovers, right? He's not going to create issues for that offense. And then you continue to build and bring in studs around him, and that's how you're going to build this team. And that's how they're going to win football games, bottom line. And that's what he's doing.
Agreed. Yeah. Just build it solidly across the board.
Absolutely.
Where you don't have holes. I agree with how he's building it, and he's building it for the long run. He's building a foundation, unlike other schools in our state. It's a beautiful thing, and it's like what we were talking about as content creators, off and on camera, a couple of years ago. It's like we see where this is going. Now that corner's being turned. Now we see what we've been talking about 2 years ago up until now. We're starting to see it come to fruition. But anyway, I don't want to keep you on much longer. We're 53 minutes in, 58 in the live chat. Thank you guys for being on. Please hit the like button. And thank you, Jazz, as always, for being on. And when are you guys coming on live this week?
No, I mean, Vish is doing a lot of content. He's over in Charlotte for the ACC tip-off.
Okay.
Men's and women's basketball. So they'll do a bucket show this week, but he'll have a lot of content on podcasts to cover basketball. Basketball is getting ready to go. It's unbelievable. So he's covering them over in Charlotte the whole week, and then now we'll get back on it on Monday, next Monday, to kind of preview Louisville. So
sounds good, man. Looking forward to it. And to the team, congratulations on 6-0. We've enjoyed it watching it as fans, and please make the adjustments you got to make. Keep it going. Keep giving the effort you guys have given this year, because you guys have finally made us proud to be Cane fans.
Just win, baby. Just win. That's it.
Just keep winning, man.
Don't win like that every time either, okay? Because I can't take that much of that anymore. I shaved off at least 12 years of my life.
I think your beard got a little grayer the last week.
Yeah, look at this thing. Unbelievable, man. Tell me about it.
I'm not far behind, bro. Yeah, man. So yeah, catch Jazz and Vish and DJ and the crew next week. And as for me, I'll probably do something this weekend. I'll do a live like I usually do, even though there's no game. We'll talk a little bit, and yeah, until next time, it's all about that.
Nice. Go
Go Canes.